Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for our September edition of the Teaching and Learning for Student Success monthly webinar series. Today, we're excited to have a session on advising, from co-requisites to pathways, best practices in advising from Texas community colleges. So without further ado, I am now going to introduce our speakers for today. We are very fortunate to have some amazing peer mentors with us from the Catch the Next program, who are going to be showing us some best practices in advising, from co-requisites to pathways. So it is my great pleasure to first introduce Dr. Catherine Olivarez, who will be presenting on the significance of guided pathways. Dr. Olivarez earned her BA in Psychology and a Master's in Education and Educational Leadership Studies from the University of Texas at San Antonio. In 2017, she earned a PhD in Higher Education and a Community College Leadership Certificate from the University of North Texas. She is currently the Articulation Specialist for Guided Pathways to Success at Dallas County Community College District and is an adjunct faculty member at Richland College. She has previously held positions in enrollment management, student affairs, and academic advising at University of North Texas, Texas A&M University San Antonio, and UT San Antonio. Following Dr. Olivarez is Dr. Tina Marie Jackson, presenting on math pathways. Dr. Jackson is currently the District Director of Developmental Education at Collin College. In this role, she works across all 8 campuses on issues related to developmental education, completion, and guided pathways to careers. In March 2019, Jackson's developmental education program received the Promising Program Award by the National Association of Developmental Education. In July 2018, Jackson was one of only 20 individuals across the country selected for the American Association of Blacks in Higher Education, Leadership and Mentoring Institute. The mentorship program provides training and skill building for African American educators to prepare them for executive level leadership positions in higher education. Jackson served as Associate Dean of Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math at Dallas County Community College District from 2016 to 2017. She worked as the statewide coordinator of community college programs at the University of Texas at Austin from 2012 to 2016, helping to redesign developmental math throughout all 50 community colleges in the state of Texas. And next, presenting on INRW advising, Integrated Reading and Writing Advising, is Julie Wauchope. Julie Wauchope has been teaching at ACC for almost a quarter century. She's the department chair for the Integrated College Reading and Writing Department and the director of the Texas Co-requisites Project, or former director of the Texas Co-requisites Project. Her favorite part of teaching is working collaboratively with students and colleagues to help them realize their goals. She's also willing to travel just about anywhere, and she's never met an animal she didn't like. And without further ado, I am now going to turn it over to Catherine.
Hi, thank you for the introduction, Lydia. So I'm going to talk to you all today about guided pathways. I'm going to try to go quickly through this because I know the meat of the information a lot of people really like hearing about is the co-requisites that our other 2 presenters will be speaking about. So with that, why guided pathways? So many of the community colleges in the state of Texas have already started moving towards the guided pathways to success movement, with some of the earlier adopters being Alamo colleges and Austin Community College. And at DCCCD, we're part of the first cadre for the Texas Pathways Institute that's working with the Texas Success Center to get that all underway. So for DCCCD, we implemented Guided Pathways to Success fall 2018, first with a round of 48 pathways. And a lot of the questions that we got with all of our faculty and our staff was, why? Why are we doing this? Why is this important? And I think for a lot of institutions that may still be debating the implementation of guided pathways or still at the start of it, that's really kind of the crux of the questions that everyone has is, why is this important? And so
Oh, Catherine, we seem to have lost your audio.
Lydia, do you want me to go ahead and share, and then I'm sure she'll log back in?
Yeah, sure. Go right ahead.
Okay, so I can even speak a little bit about this process with the pathways. I think it is important to understand that we know that a lot of students were not able to get through their program of study within 2 to 3 years. And so the process now with 60 by 30, we are really focusing in on having 60% of the population between the ages of 18 and 34 certified, have some kind of certification, degree, diploma, and really ready for the workforce. And we know we have a lot of demanding areas. So I just have to be really frank with you all, even as you can see, I'm on the road. Um, it is serious that we reach our students and we help them to get down the pathways accelerated versus 4 to 5, in some cases 6 years, just to get through a community college program. And so the goal really has been to accelerate the process, make sure we don't lose as many students, and then move students from the pathways in the academic fields into our workforce needs. And so you can go over to my slides, Lydia. I know the Dallas slides because, as Lydia mentioned, I used to work for Dallas Community College District. I think one of the things I'll share as we go into my slides is that the pathways are actually connected up to endorsements. Thank you. So the meta major pathways that Dallas has are connected to the K-12 endorsements. And I think that's critical because we know that there's a lot of challenges with students understanding pathways, but if they're getting it in the 8th grade, all the way up through high school, and then they have similar pathways in college, they just understand the process better. So what I want to share with you all is a little bit about advising in math pathways and what we found to be promising. One of the biggest pieces I would say is all hands on deck. Everybody has to be involved. So a fully integrated model means that we are all connected. There's wraparound services for this group of students, from the advising office all the way to academic affairs. Everyone has to be on board. So that's what I found as really exciting work. On one of these pieces here, I mentioned a program that we have, which is an academic planning program. So all of our students who test into all 3 areas of DE work are required to have a coach. They're also required to attend seminars throughout the semester. And so we've been doing that successfully, and we know that that's one of the pieces that retains this really challenging group at times to get them through the pathway process. You can hit the next slide. Another piece that's really important in this process is communicating what pathway works for the student's major. So that's what we've done here at Collin. And what I'd like to say about that, and I said this statewide when I did math work, is that the right math for the right path for the right major. So that's what we're doing. And so as you can see here, we've color coded it. And this is as simple for someone from the outside to read it. It has to be a map that makes it clear for students to understand. And yes, this is transferable. Yes, we are saying to students, if you're not going into the STEM field, you may not need college algebra, and that's okay. But then if they change their mind later, there's a course that they can take to supplement so that they can go into college algebra and the calculus pathway. And so what this is an example of what we have online on the website. If you were to go to collin.edu and go under developmental education, you would find this as one of the resources for students. You can click to the next one. And in this handout here, I want to talk about this for a moment. What we find too, when students test into DE, they're really, and they place in, let me correct myself, they place into developmental education. They get just really upset about that at times. And so what we do is we have testing counselors that give them this postcard that you're seeing here with 5 steps. Those 5 steps are critical. The first step, we know this is important, go meet with an advisor immediately so you can get in the right courses. The second step is to register for co-requisite courses. The third step is to make sure that they're in the learning frameworks course. We can't say that enough, that we know that it works. We know that when students take learning frameworks, we can retain them, we can give them the skills they need to move them forward. The fourth step is to make sure that they actually come to the coaching program and the seminars that are involved. Things that happen there, they learn about an audit, how to plan for their major, how to plan for internships, how to plan for the next semester, and what they should do if they need help. And then last but not least, they're connected to the first year experience program. So I've worked across the district with all these different components. So our testing centers had to be involved with this, as well as folks from advising, and then also colleagues from academic affairs. Some of the tips that I've learned in this work is, to encourage students to really seek out supplemental instruction, or at least have access to it through their teachers. And if the teachers can say, hey, at least twice a month, you have to have supplemental instruction, twice a week, whatever their rule is in their classroom, it really helps our DE students to do well in their courses. Veteran students, another really important population. That group needs to test into a DE course for it to count as part of their grant. So we encourage veteran students, and we encourage the advisors to let them know, hey, if you think that your math is not as good as it used to be for whatever reason, we want you to test into DE math so you can get into a co-requisite course and it's paid for, and you get the support that you need. And then last but not least, students are always like, well, I don't know if I should take a co-rec versus taking a standalone. What we're telling them is it is so important that you understand, if you take a co-rec, it will accelerate you and you'll get the support you need in the course. We also are showing them the statistics, because we're finding that lots of students are able to see the results. And our results are great right now. We're really seeing a lot of completers, and we're excited about that work. And I think, do I have another slide, or am I done? I'm okay, yeah.
Should I go? I'm Julie Wauchope, and I'm going to talk to you about INRW, advising for INRW co-requisites with career pathways in consideration. And the first one I'm going to start with is, first you want to look at the major plan and make sure that they're taking something that is in the co-rec that's on their major plan. Most colleges offer English composition as a co-rec. So that's a good one. It's in most majors, but this semester, or actually spring semester, we're starting to offer the technical communications too. So that's a better fit for the workforce majors. And you just want to check and make sure that they can take technical communication as an alternative to English composition. But I think, this is my opinion, but I think all the colleges offer English composition as a co-rec, but I think it's not a good one for most majors. I don't think it's a good first class, because most majors aren't going to be writing essays, persuasive essays and literature analysis, having to cite their sources in certain ways. So it's a very specialized kind of writing. It's good for grammar and punctuation, things like that. But otherwise, I don't think it's what they're going to use. I think technical communication is better for the workforce, like I said, because they're going to do more things like writing instructions, writing down processes, guidelines, things like that, simplifying complex ideas. So that's good for them. For the other majors, you can go to the next slide. For majors that don't take technical writing, there's lots of elective courses that you can co-requisite with that fit better, I think, into different career pathways. And you can look at what skills are required for these different classes. There's the liberal arts and humanities courses like history, philosophy, humanities, speech. They're more, you have to come up with a perspective, or you have to come up with a theory about what's going on. So it's more an emphasis more on discovery and innovation, specific observations to generalization. So history, you might have to come up with the causes for a certain war and pick them out of the books you've been reading. You might get original sources. So you might have to look at letters that people wrote to look at the history. You'll compare perspectives, so it's more of an opinion thing. The people in power had this perspective and the workers had this perspective, and identify connections between different areas or different time periods. That's what you're going to be doing. So the compatible majors for those co-recs with history, philosophy, humanities, speech, and things like that would be arts, definitely, history, marketing. You have to be very creative. So even though it's a business major, I would say marketing, and then anything academic. So English, things like that, humanities, of course. So co-requisites with social and behavioral sciences courses, I think, are better for the workforce management, STEM, and of course, social and behavioral sciences. So that's where I would advise somebody with those majors to go to. So those classes include psychology, sociology, government. So they're more method and process. So you would say do some kind of research and find out something about what's going on. So it's not as creative. It's not like you come up with a brand new idea and get creative when you're doing, when you're looking at research. And that's what you're going to be looking at most of these things. They have logical conclusions, application of theories. So it's more factual oriented than opinion and different perspectives. And that's more what they're going to be doing in STEM majors and management, workforce, those kind of majors. So I think they'll do better in those classes if they take those as part of their co-requisite. I think they'll enjoy them more, and I think they will help them in the majors that they go into, because they're going to be using those same kind of skills in their other major classes. They'll still have to take history and English, but at least it won't be their first go at being a college major. So let's see what else. Also look for classes that, oops, sorry, I don't have this on here, but you can also look at different courses that have the common pathways or common courses for the different pathways. Like in our at APC, we have a very large health sciences. Very large number of students in health sciences. And so we went to the leader of health sciences, the dean, and we came up with ethics. So they all take ethics. So next summer or next semester, spring, we're going to offer a co-requisite with ethics. And we're very excited about that, because if we're making it specially for health sciences, most other majors don't have to take it. And so we can gear towards their topics and their interests. So we're very excited about that. Another one is we have the Great Questions Seminar, which is a class that one of our instructors kind of invented, and it is a substitute or an alternative to the student success course. So he has some of the student success, well, he has all of the student success things that you have to have in the course. And it's also counts as 3 hours of humanities. So they get a lot of value out of this just one class. And if they take the paired class, then they also get TSI complete. So it's a really good deal for students who are coming in. And it's a lot of discussion oriented. So it's a great thing for students who, like they're the first person in their family going to college. So they'll get a real taste of what college is like, because they'll have to sit around, share opinions with other people. They read things like the Odyssey and what else? Plato. We're going to read some Chinese poetry. So it's very eclectic, but I think they enjoy it and they feel like they're in college. You know what I mean? And so it's a great co-requisite for us to offer to. So those are some of the more innovative things that we're coming up with. And I'm pretty much done. I could say the one thing I do want to say is we are very collaborative with the student services, with the advisors. We always talk to them and say, what do you need? What do you think's popular? And we explain why we're adding different co-recs.
Hey, Julie, can you share a little bit about the sociology co-rec? Because you were telling me some great things.
Yes, that's our most successful. That's where we have most student success. And I think sociology, the thing I like about sociology is it is more factual, more, they get to look at research, things like that. But with the things that they look at are in the news every day. I mean, sociology is so easy for me. When I co-rec with it, it's so easy for me to relate it to everyday life. Show them examples that are in the newspaper every day or online or magazines. But some of the things, well, one of their vocabulary words was sanction.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we said, well, they're talking about sanctions against Iran. So we got to use that as an example. And what else? Talking about norms. And they talk about how Trump is changing the norms for being a president. So we talked about that a little bit. And it's just fun. And now the project I have them doing right now is they pick a subculture and then they're writing an essay about it. So slowly we're writing an essay about it. And there's so many fun subcultures to write about, and they can do their career subculture. One person is, two people are doing their career that I can think of. One is doing sound engineers as their subgroup, and he wants to be a sound engineer. And one is doing people in construction as his subgroup, and he wants to go into construction. So it's a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share one more thing. I know Catherine joined us. We're so glad you're back. There was one of the things that we've done at Collin is we've embedded tutors in INRW co-requisite courses, and it's really helped our students because a lot of those students are coming in at lower reading levels. So we just found, with the reading comprehension issues, it was important to embed additional help into the classroom. And so that's another promising practice that we've seen. It helps the teacher to have smaller group discussion with those students who may not move as quickly through a particular area. And it's really been helpful, especially for our courses that are connected to history, government, and things that might seem to be a little bit more rigorous than the 1301 comp.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So I think these are both great examples from ACC, Austin Community College, and from Collin County about how co-requisites can be really intentionally paired within meta majors or within degree plans, and really be thinking about mapping out a student's pathway from the very beginning. And so I do want to go back, and we had some technical difficulties with Catherine's presentation earlier. So I did want to give her an opportunity to talk to us a little bit about the guided pathways movement and why pathways are so significant.
Thank you so much. My apologies for the technical difficulties. I will be sending my computer in. So just got to roll with the punches. So with guided pathways, I don't want to repeat anything that I've said previously. As you can see on the screen, we really focused at DCCCD on persistence and retention, completion, transfer, and employment, because with guided pathways and the work that we're doing, and as you can see with the work that's happening with co-requisites, our goal is to make sure that our students aren't just coming to us, but they're staying with us. And not just staying with us, but they're getting to the next point in their career that they want to get to. Excuse me, whether that's transferring to a university to complete a bachelor's degree or going straight into the workforce. So we want to make sure that our students are staying, completing, and moving to the next to that next goal in their life. And so that's really why we decided to focus on guided pathways. especially knowing some of the metrics we know within our own system about how long it takes our students, and about transfer. And just to give you some national numbers, I believe the National Student Clearinghouse reported that approximately only 14.7% of students who started at a community college transferred and graduated with a bachelor's degree in 6 years. And that was, I believe, according to their fall 2011 cohort that they monitored and tracked. So it's really important that when we talk about things like this, especially for guided pathways and the implications for transfer, we keep that in mind. And we know at our institution, and you might know at your own, at our institution, about 80% of our students come in with the intention to transfer, and few actually do. So we want to make sure we're getting them to where they need to go, whether that's clarifying their goals or getting to the transfer portion. So if we can move to the next slide. So we took a very institution-wide approach. When we talked about clarifying the paths, we really meant going in with our faculty. And before even having the co-requisite discussion with them, just having a discussion about what it means to be in your program. And for our discipline-specific faculty in the transferable courses, that was really hard to gather because only this year have we seen the coordinating board come down with the about 25 or so different disciplines of fields of study. Prior to that, our associate's degrees are just general associate's degrees and fields of study if we had them. And so really talking to our faculty in those discipline-specific areas, what does it mean to want to be in this major and leave this institution afterwards? What can you do? What is that career like? And also, what courses should you really be taking? Because that's the key. What courses does it matter to take for me to want to get to the next institution? And so then we talked about helping students get on the path and building those bridges from high school to college, and making sure that our career paths that we chose match the high school endorsements or align with the high school endorsements. We also wanted to make sure we help students stay on the path. So our academic advising has really shifted over the last couple years to more of an intrusive case management model, focusing on that relationship rather than the transactional type of relationship that they used to have with students, and making sure they have those different types of supports. And then working with our faculty to make sure students are learning, right? So each one of these four that we've gotten here aligns with the 4 pillars of guided pathways. And when we talk about faculty ensuring students are learning, that's newer, that's starting, that's happening, but we want to make sure our faculty are also involved in this as heavily as they can be. On the next slide, I think, again, that importance, so starting with the end in mind for our students, that's some of the shifts and conversations we've had with people. What does it mean to do this, right? What is your end goal? And so if it means that students need to be in co-requisite classes, having that upfront conversation about what that co-requisite class looks like, what does it mean to take them together, and in your long-term goals of going into this career field or major field, what does that look like? Engaging faculty and staff, that has been key. I think our staff are really getting even more versed in guided pathways, and our faculty are still they're still trying to engage with it more, I think, but really getting beyond what the document of the path looks like from semester 1 to semester 2, which I think I gave as part of a handout here, but really getting more involved with the overall overarching, what does this program mean? What should you be learning? And where does that fit into your long-term paths? And making sure that it supports students on their navigation in and through one of our colleges. What does that look like for our students? And how do we get them there? And then on the next slide, those are our career paths. So those are the 7 career paths that we decided upon as a whole. 7 individual colleges across decided that these would be the 7 career paths where all of our guided pathways would fall. So I like to explain to people that our career paths, the meta majors, of course, but really that's organizing it similarly, not the same, but similarly as you do the university, right? Like they have colleges of science or college of business, and so we're kind of focused larger paths students of where that could mean for their career to be going. And so that's how we've organized it. And each one of our guided pathways has the iconography listed before you, whether it falls under a STEM or not. So it'll have that same icon, it'll have the career path information, and it'll be colored, coded to that type of information as well. And then I think, was that the last slide? Yes. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so that's what we're doing with guided pathways at DCCCD. And it really kind of burgeoned onto that conversation of co-requisites, because we had to have the conversation of co-requisites as soon as we were starting the guided pathways conversations, because it meant a lot for how we were structuring the look of it and the feel of it in order for our students to successfully navigate through our colleges.
Excellent. Thank you so much. And thank you all three so much. So we're thinking about this in terms of advising. And I know you all come from, sort of different areas of your respective colleges. I'm wondering if you could each tell me about, and Catherine, you spoke about this a little bit already, about sort of the staff role and staff engagement with the guided pathways. But Julie and Tina, I wonder if you can tell me a little bit about what are the sort of communication practices between advising offices and the departments or the disciplines in your colleges?
I can share a little bit. I have a district perspective, so I technically invite everyone to the party or to play in the sandbox together. Mm-hmm. And literally, I really believe in common communication messages. So whenever we're discussing anything related to co-requisites, we include advising, all of enrollment in advising and student services and academic affairs. Because it's just so important. And also our workforce development counselors. We have career coaches. So I have first Fridays at 8 a.m. with all the advisors across the district, which includes disability services, our veterans, our special populations, and then embedded counselors who show up in academic affairs in places like that. But I think that it's consistency, having something that people know is going to happen once a month, or at least having emails that go out at least once a month. Another thing that is good, like webinars like this, I'll send out to everyone. For those who aren't able to, of course, log on because they're actually with advisors, but they're able to sit with their teams and watch things like this so that they can find out what's going on across the state. But I think what's key is having the common message, and you have to have your administrators on board, and you have to have everyone who's involved with students involved. We've even involved our student life department, which houses our first year experience program. And so another thing that we've done is we have a master schedule. Whenever we do any type of planning, we're all collectively talking about how does this complement what another part of our district is doing, another department is doing, and how is it all helping us to move forward so that we're not in conflict with one another, because sometimes you can plan events or have things going on and people they're not aware of it. And then it's kind of like you might be taking students away from them, or it's just not a common message. Really having a consistent, common communication process to implement and scale is critical. And I think you also have to involve your faculty leads. And at Collin, we call them discipline leads. At other places, they may show up as chairs or coordinators. I think it is at Dallas. But I think having them involved too, so that they're aware of any advising changes, anything related to how we're looking at advising the students down the pathways, and anything that we're doing as a continuous improvement plan is also critical. So I've shared that at a lot of different meetings. I show up at department meetings across the district for individual departments to share the same message, because a lot of times people don't have time to read a long report or even a short version of the report. They just don't have time for emails, especially in advising.
Thank you, Tina. Julie, do you want to talk about the handout that you shared, the holistic chart?
Yeah, I'll talk about both of them, because
great.
One thing about working with student services is the placement charts really, I tell them, you know, that's your chart. We make it, but it's your chart because they're the ones that use it. So we go back and forth, we show it to them, and if they like it, if they find something that's confusing or not clear, then we change it. And so it's really a group project. And once we get it perfect, then we send it to there's a committee that needs to approve it, and then we send it on. The holistic advising chart tells, let's see, let me remind myself, okay, this side tells what range they're looking at, and it's just, they just look at reading scores. They don't have to worry about writing scores. So it tells them exactly who is going to be, who they're going to use this chart with. If they have any questions, they can call one of us. DCAs, we don't really have anymore, but that was a developmental communications advisor. So it's just any full-time person they can call and ask what they want to see if we agree with them that maybe a student should be available to, because of holistic advising, be available to take a little more demanding course. That's what this is for. And these are the different areas. This we pretty much stole this from math. So this is the part that's highlighted is something we put in there that's new. So I think math didn't have that. And there's 4 different categories, and they get 1 point per category. So the advisor just goes over these different categories with them, assesses them, gives them points, and if they get 3 out of 4, then we decided they should be holistically advised. And that just means they get the option of moving up. If they don't want to, they don't have to. If it doesn't fit into their schedule, they don't have to. But right now we have a lower level course that's a standalone lower level course. And the scores that are on the top of there are like the highest level in the lowest level course. So 344, 345, that's our highest reading levels in the low courses. And if they score in there and they get holistically advised higher, they can take a co-rec. So,
okay, I see.
Yeah, and on the back of it, you have the second page. That's where we tell what all our different classes, and for the higher levels. So these are the things that they could be placed into, and what we suggest, how we suggest they would go into each one. This is a little bit old. It doesn't have all our courses on it, but so like the English one, the focus is on writing instruction, right? Critical reading is required, but they don't get as much of an emphasis on that. So if the student feels like they want an emphasis on that, they should probably take the history of their sociology co-rec, or if they're afraid to focus on reading, then they could stay in English, or if they want to focus on writing, they could stay in English. So those are some ideas we had. We don't have, I gave you an old one, I'm sorry about that. Because we can't see 1300 anymore, but that told.
Right.
And then the course at the top is we still have a standalone upper level course, and I think we're phasing it out though. This semester, I'll confess to you all, I'm not sure we're going to make 50%. We made 50% every semester last year, but now that we have to, I'm not sure we can get. And that's because we got a huge influx of low scoring students. Huge. Like we had to add 8 classes of our lower course, and they of course don't get figured into our percentages. So it's gotta be close. It's gonna be close. So cross your fingers we make it. But so we're looking at well, that's it. Oh wait, I wanted to tell you one more thing. One thing we're trying right now is at each campus we're having an advisor and a INRW instructor be kind of liaisons to the 2 areas. So I've asked for an advisor, and I'm waiting for my the student services to tell me who I'm going to pair with. But and I will communicate questions that we have to them, and any information that we have, and they'll do the same for us. And we're going to have a website with all the questions and all the information on it. So anybody can just refer to that. And I'll be responsible for spreading whatever information I get to the rest of my department. He'll be responsible for spreading the information to the advisors.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, that does sound like a great practice. Thank you so much. And now I want to open it up for general Q&A from anyone. Again, remember, if you don't have audio access, you're more than welcome to type a question into the questions pane and I'll read it for you. If you do have audio access, you can use the hand raise feature on your control panel and I'll unmute you so that you can speak to our presenters directly. So we do have our first question here from Gail Malone, who asks, who says, students who are assessed at the ABE levels 1 through 4 are not calculated in your co-requisite numbers for the 50% target this fall. Julie, did you want to clarify what the lower level INRW course is and who are the candidates for that?
It's, let me see, hold on. They score a reading score of 310 to 343.
Okay, so they are above that ABE 1 through 4.
But that's what might give us to the 50% because we've been going through our roles and seeing how many people are in that group, and we have a lot in that group. So, okay. Also, though, we also get in our co-recs, we'll get people who aren't required to take INRW, taking INRW, especially with English.
Yeah.
Especially with English. And so we're going to have to add up those, and hopefully they won't even out. Hopefully we'll have more, I hate to say it, but hopefully we'll have more ABE students than we do TSI complete students taking our classes.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So we also have a question here from Helen Daly, who asks, Tina, I think this is for you. Where do the tutors come from that are used in the classrooms for your program?
So we got a college readiness and success model grant from the coordinating board. And because of those dollars, we were able to hire 3 math tutors and 3 INRW reading, comprehension, and writing tutors. Those individuals are scattered across the campuses, and they're housed in our math centers and in our writing centers. But they're assigned to different classrooms. And right now it is a faculty request. If a faculty is requesting to have an embedded tutor, then they're going to those individual classrooms and they're there for the semester. And we're finding it's really helpful also for supplemental instruction. So we place those tutors in supplemental instruction to help faculty. And so faculty are also signing up for supplemental instruction, but we also have our embedded tutors who are in supplemental instruction and also in the classroom.
Nice, thank you. So Gail Malone also has a follow-up comment. She says, thank you for this good information. Thanks to all the presenters.
Thank you.
And also a follow-up comment from Helen Daly. She says, nice, Tina. ACC is now pairing Learning Lab tutors with distance learning courses to support those students. I'd be interested to know a little bit more about that and how where those tutors are coming from or sort of how they interact with the students.
At ACC.
At ACC, yeah.
It's a special program. It's called, we have 2 special programs going on, but I think this one is it's called EARS, E-A-R-S. So it's Early Alert something.
Reporting system? Referral system.
I'm not sure, but they have an advisor and a tutor associated with each class. They don't come to class though. They might come to class and introduce themselves, but it's so that if they're having a problem, if a student's having a problem, that's the early alert part. So once a student is getting behind, or if it's an academic problem, then they send them to the tutor. If it's a life problem, then they send them to the advisor or the counselor. We also have academic coaches that we can send them to. So that's what it is. I've heard that, I don't, I want to be straight with you. I've heard there's problems though, because people aren't, or one person isn't, that is associated with the class isn't responding fast enough. So if this is like an early alert thing, it's like, they're having problems, we need to fix it, right? Or help them right away. Right. So if they don't respond to emails or phone calls or contact the student, that's not helpful. So right. We're having a little difficulty with that. So
okay, I see. And we also have a comment from our CEO, Catch the Next CEO, Maria Chavez, who says, thank you for joining us again. You were so outstanding the last time. We had to have you back to get the year moving on the right track. So thank you again to all of our presenters. And Lillian Huerta also says, thank you all so much for this wealth of information. And Helen, I had said I wanted to know more about it, and Helen said, call me later. So she says that the tutors are currently using Blackboard Collaborate Ultra through Blackboard, okay, for the distance learning.
Okay, cool. Real quick, I'll share that we are doing some work this semester with our math and our English faculty. They're creating support curriculum for DE students with reading comprehension issues, because we're finding that our DE math students are not doing well in some of the co-req courses because of their reading comprehension levels. So I definitely, just moving forward, I'll share that information once we're done with the research and the curriculum is complete. So hopefully this spring we'll have something to share with you, but it's very exciting to work across disciplines like this. The math people are ecstatic, and English, they're just excited to work together. So the plan is to have some resources to share and share with co-requisite colleagues across the board, from the English, history, all the way through math, on how to support the lower level reading comprehension in the college level courses.
Absolutely. Yeah, I know there are some good partnerships like that too going on here at Austin Community College as well. And thinking about how to really be intentional about teaching reading across the disciplines and teaching discipline-specific reading strategies. And thinking about how the INRW instructors can sort of mentor the credit area instructors about sort of being reflective about how reading and writing and thinking occur in their discipline.
Right.
Yeah. So that's great. Well, thank you all so much. We're coming up to the end of our hour. I did also want to make a quick note that last month's webinar did feature a co-requisite faculty pairing between integrated reading and writing and a government course. So if you're interested in learning more about how those kinds of faculty pairs and co-requisite relationships can work, you can definitely go to www.catchthenext.org and go to our webinars page to find the webinar archives, and that one is up. It's actually listed right there on the webinars page, so it says in case you missed it, and you can watch that whole video, and the slides and handouts are available there as well. Also, just once again, for non-member faculty or anyone calling in from a non-Catch the Next member college, we do have the Transformative Teaching Track seminar coming up October 24th and 25th. So if that's something that you're interested in and you'd like more information, you can contact Allegra Villarreal at allegra.villarreal@catchthenext.org. And you can also go to catchthenext.org and go to events and transformative teaching track to learn more about how you can register your faculty co-requisite pairs. So thank you all so much again for joining us and sharing with us more information about advising for guided pathways and for co-requisites, and really the intimate connection between those two. Thank you for sharing your time and your wisdom with us.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Thank you so much. Everyone have a wonderful evening and a wonderful weekend. We will see you next month.
Okay.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.